I see that we're joined by a fourth young lady. And
Yes.
when we bring the whole conversation of the princess and the Cinderella, how do you teach her to balance those two things?
Oh my God, I'm doing a lot of learning from this one. Yeah, so this is my daughter, Sienna.
Hi, Sienna. Welcome to Pure Vincy.
Yeah. you're gonna be on the radio in St. Vincent. So Sienna is my only daughter. I have two boys as well, older boys, but I don't know if we talked about this yet. I also have a heart-born son. So I have four children, 3 boys and Sienna. She's not letting me forget her other brother. But so one of the things that I get to do with my time as well is I'm a children's book author, and my book that's out right now is inspired by Sienna and by my desire to teach her to value herself from as early as possible. So I wrote that book when she was just months old. And so, yeah, there is a way to balance. I think that princess sort of mentality has a lot of positives to it. Like, you know, you learn to work smarter, you learn how to delegate well, you learn how to care for yourself so you can produce the best. So even though I'm not naturally a princess, I do think that there are a lot of benefits to having that. I see it in my sister. I joke about her being a princess, but she's also one of the most hardworking women I know. And part of that is driven by her desire to sit back and enjoy princess life at some point.
So you have to make sure that you have everything in order, otherwise that whole castle is going to come crumbling down.
Yeah, no, but it's true. And to be a good boss, you have to have that princess mentality. You know, that make good leaders, because you care for each other. You see people and you can lead them up. So you know, I think it's a good thing. It's a great thing.
There's always a light in every dark spot.
Exactly.
Let's go back to a little bit more music, and then we'll continue our discussions. Why don't we? Now, this is one of Suzette's selections.
Oh, yeah. Ready for that?
Let's see you up, 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 up. No, you don't know? Come on, Mom.
On the road with a man that big, and the girls waistline just give it. We don't want people business, and if I put them out now quick, around here we don't support no mischief, cause it's party time with your business. Boom, no test of it, but we want rum up in here. Step back, we don't chill when we come.
So Sin, I am curious, and I've been waiting for this opportunity to ask you this question.
Yeah.
You said that you have been so sheltered, and not only that, you were one of the first ones of this group to leave St. Vincent. How are you so involved in the music of St. Vincent? And not just the music of St. Vincent, but the wild up music of St. Vincent.
Oh God, I don't know. I just love, you know, it is funny. It's once you, a Vincy is the Vincy. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, where, if you, I can't forget about being a Vincy. It's in my blood. It's everywhere. So, but I've always kept in touch with everyone from St. Vincent. My family, I have a really big family that is still in St. Vincent that we speak to constantly. There was, even if I wasn't there, we were always calling, messaging, letters, all that stuff. So they all will send me the new music that come out that year. I will go back to St. Vincent for Carnival. And in 2018, I did my first appearance with Ralph the band, and I won the Owen Ralph, and I won the individual costume band for the best costume of the year.
Congratulations.
So I've always been going back and forth, keeping up with the music. Cousins that are younger than me that just send me all the new stuff, and yeah, so 𝘱𝑒𝑚 Child, Skinny Fabulous, all those, even some artists from Vermont, like there's, I think he's from Windward, I think, 𝘊𝑜𝘆𝑒𝑎𝑚, and like so many different ones that are new that's not having a lot of airtime. Like
so what does Granny make of this taste in music, Suzette?
She just like, you need Jesus.
So Lisa and Michelle, what influences your taste in Vincentian music? Because you have some gems on your lists as well.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm like, I guess like music, of course, is a big part of everything you do in St. Vincent. And for me, it's like what draws my memory from my time there. And people, of course, like Colin Peters, I really think that he's a super talented artist. So I guess it's just what reminds me of home, what makes me think of home the most and makes me feel the most Vincy. That's what I tend to go to.
Yeah.
And you, Solita?
It would be like just hearing what my sister or aunt or just playing around the house, especially Saturdays when you're cleaning and stuff like that. And for Carnival, we weren't allowed to go to Carnival for a certain period. And we weren't allowed to do a lot of the things that a lot of kids in the community was doing in terms of going out and enjoying the culture, because we were going to church.
Right.
And for me, I always hungered for, experiencing Carnival and going and being a part of that. So a lot of my music too comes from having the older people, their sort of influence and the taste. And I love the old school. When I did get into the dance and I could go with my sisters, the jams that were playing in the dance when they're there, and then the jams that were playing when we went in as kids or teenagers. I was trying to be modest, why I didn't send some walk up, dirty down kind of music to you, but it was influenced by, me hearing, sort of now connecting back to the things that I heard on Saturdays and the cleaning days when the music is pumping and the radio comes on. And
when Michelle was doing the cleaning.
Yeah, well, they're doing it right. And I'm eating mangoes and stuff like that and other food. But my love and connection to home is really food and music, because now I see how important that was, even though then it was just, in the background and the noise. But coming here and realizing how much that meant to us and our culture, and not having readily access to it. Like, my niece and nephews aren't sending the new music to us. We gotta go find it ourselves and stuff like that.
Suzette has to hook you up on more than one level.
I gotta give you the hookups.
Yes, thank you. Now we have the hookup from you. But I love home and what Carnival meant once I could get into the scene and really partake in all of it and being true Vincy. Like there's something special about it that I don't think we appreciate when we are there. We look elsewhere, to the other islands or even the other spaces on the different continents for where we want to go and excel. I really see now home being so grounding. Like I'm so grateful I have that upbringing, because it's solidified me now what I'm doing.
Indeed, and it's really good to know that you have been able to reflect and find value in things that are pure Vincy, and to note the impact that those things, even retrospectively, are having on your lives now. And I guess that's what pure Vincy is about appreciating things that are Vincentian. Michelle, You said this Colin Peters is one of your favorite artists, but this song, Poor People Children, is one of your favorite songs. Let's listen to a little bit of it, and then you'll tell us why it means so much to you.
Well, we've got our heads set up in the mountains. Oh, no. And we're never turning back. Oh, mama. We only drink from all the pure fountains, yeah. Forward we're going, we just can't stop. That's why we say, poor people, children, watch out for the government, man. Poor people, children, 'cause you're not a part of the plan. Oh, children, oh, children, poor people, children.
Tell us why this song means so much to you, Michelle.
I'm getting slightly emotional listening to it, and like playing back the image. I don't know if it was intentional for the songwriter, but for me, what I get from that is the resilience of people who suffered adversity, and how, you know, they say necessity is the mother of invention. And I feel like people who do anything great in life are people who have experienced something difficult in one way or another. And that's definitely one of my favorite songs, and one that I'm most proud of, being a Vincentian and being from Beckway, because I think that like most songs at home, right, there's a whole sort of meaning to it. You could get a variety of meaning out of it. For me, the meaning out of that is the blessings in things that could be adverse to our, you know, our well-being as a people who have to struggle.
So it's about finding the silver lining behind each dark cloud and converting your challenges into opportunities.
Right, like taking your obstacles and making them into stepping stones. Like I get another meaning behind it, but I choose to like hold on to this meaning because I feel like it breeds hope for people who otherwise could feel hopeless.
It's full of inspiration.
I'm hearing this.
You guys listen to it and watch the video. The video is so. First of all, I love Vincy children. Like I have a special. I think that they're a special breed, and there are a lot of children in the video. But you got to take a look at it.
Yeah, for me, when I saw a little bit of it on the WhatsApp, and what I got from it is that you know, the poor people children, they're not really, the government, they're not visible, they're not seen,
right?
They don't have the name behind, like people don't see them, they're not visible. And I find that it is sad, it's heartbreaking, because they can have so much potential to be the best that they can be in the world and give back to society, but because they're pushed in a corner and not being seen, then, you know, it's like he's trying to say, you got to take care of your own and do your best for yourself, because no one else is looking out for you, which is really
right. Which is why I my takeaway from it is, when those people do great things, they really do great things, right? Because oh no, oh my God,
there's a lot that they've had to surmount to get to where they are. Oh.
Yeah.
I could imagine how personal this is to each one of you.
Yeah.
If you had an opportunity, each of you, to rewrite your journey, what were some of the edits that you would make?
I can go first.
Sure.
I got that question asked like in a slightly different way. Like, if you could say something to your younger self, like what would you say? And I feel like I would say I'm like super proud of you, because something I kind of coined a few years ago was that there's been enough difficult and actually horrific things that happened in my childhood to classify it as awful. but there was also enough good to make it a great childhood. And so I'm super proud of my younger self for navigating those difficult times and holding on to those good moments to bring me to where I am today in life. So I'm not sure in terms of myself what I would change. Yeah, I would maybe try to remember more the good moments. But in terms of who I was as a child and a young adult, I think I'm super proud of that person.
So I guess your edit would be just to put more details on those excellent moments.
Highlight.
All right. Solita, what would your edits be?
I don't think it would be too much of a redo of the childhood, other than appreciate more what I had as a child, and going back to what Suzette said about, you know, what you took away from the song, and, you know, calling it from 𝘱𝑒𝑘𝑢𝑎𝑦 and coming from 𝑘𝑒𝑚𝑝𝘳𝑜𝘡 as well. We don't have the name recognition back home. And I would never be doing this. I want to be in a position to change the legacy of my family if I was home. So those gems that are being missing as well, you know, through the cracks because they don't have the name, or, you know, they're not given the chance to excel. And I think if we're gonna grow as a country, we the ones that are, you know, outside of the mainland, also have to recognize giving back or reaching back home, because we come out here, we make the life, and we you know, build our empires here, and a lot of us forget to reach back home to help build there. And even at home, we need to see the ones who are getting lost in the sauce of not having the name or not having the money. So the poor people children are being sort of dismissed with the talents that they have as well. And I hope with what we're all doing here can create those bridges. So I wouldn't change it. I would just, you know, my younger self express to her this, it would be valuable to appreciate the now that you have then, and see Vincy as this gem and beautiful place with, you know, obviously need things changing and fixing, but also so much beauty that is St. Vincent and the Grenadines that we often forget.
My other takeaway from your rewrite would be that you should never discount your value, whether current or future, because It doesn't matter that you don't have a name. What is important is what your ambitions and intentions are.
Exactly.
Yeah. Suzette, what would your rewrite be?
I think I'm with the ladies on this. Like, I don't think I am who I am today because of my past, and the journey that I've gone through made me a lot wiser, and have more compassion and for others, and although be more, I think what I was maybe appreciation. And I think a lot of times where, like, I looking at the other neighborhoods and like my neighbors and the things that I had that was like, just, I think now I look back, just too much, and just was like wanting more because it was just there and accessible for me when other kids were doing without. So I think for me, it would be more, give more back to, like, share more of what I had when I was growing up. I wish I had taken the initiative to go around the neighborhood and give, like, clothes and shoes and everything to the kids in the neighborhood, because my grandmother was that person to just give stuff, and I will get upset. You're giving away my brand new shoes. I didn't wear that shoes. But she's like, you have 6, you have 10, you have 12, you know, so it's just like things like that. I wish I could say to myself to give more to, but from my experience now that I'm grown, I'm super proud of the woman that I've become, And I've been giving back to St. Vincent. That's something that whether I knew a lot or in touch with St. Vincent, I always did what I have to do, whether it's through the cosmetic donation for sale, doing fundraising like the garden party with Suzette for the volcano. We raised $3,600 and something in for the
Thank you so much.
So like things like that, I would I'm in a better place now to see that. In a nutshell, I want to do as much that I can to help St. Vincent and the people of St. Vincent, especially the youth, because I find the youth is our future, and we have to be so gentle with their minds and how we educate and approach them, because words matters. And I find, you know, being a Vincentian and growing up, like words, you know, that sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words might not hurt me. I think that's wrong. Words hurt more than the sticks and stones. And we have to really pay attention to our youth and protect them. We have to protect our youth. And education, I think it's the way to go. And Michelle is right on that. We have to deliver with love, and we have to make sure it's not an offensive or an attack on anybody. You just deliver with love. And whichever way I can be a part of making sure the youth of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it's in a better place moving forward, I'm so for it.
You ladies have brought out some very valuable retrospective lessons. The lesson of appreciating the good things in life, even as a child, and not just dwelling on the positive, the importance of selflessness, and the importance of recognizing your worth, regardless to what your name is, regardless to where you live. And it is something that we're going to have to find a way to impart to our children, so they don't have to look back and have that as one of their regrets, but that they'll be able to appreciate it as they move on in life. And I'm sure somehow we're going to figure it out together. And with this association that we're developing here and all the links that are being created, I'm sure we can come up with something among us all. You are all operating in very unusual times, and Suzette, you alluded to it earlier. But I just want to go back to that, the impact of COVID on your businesses, not just on your industry, not that whole macro level, but specifically to you and your businesses, and how you've overcome those trials.
It's you learn as an entrepreneur, you quickly learn how to pivot and how to reset your movements in times like this. And for me, it's making sure that I don't overstock with products because the sales drop. So I keep as much liquid flow cash that I can, instead of spending like before, you know, you have all different products, inventory and all that stuff. In COVID, it wasn't needed because no one's going out, no one's using the products as much. Some people lost their job, or they cut down on hours. So having the parties were closed, the restaurants were closed. So my stuff is all about beauty and the hair and feeling good. So if you don't have anywhere to go right away, you just I'm not going to get my hair done. So I pivot into making custom wigs, clip-ins, and selling products. So it's like, oh, you can't leave your house, but you have to do your Zoom meeting. So I'm going to deliver your wig. I'll style it and I'll cut it and I'll put it in your bag. So I start delivering wigs, cutting, styling, coloring, doing everything like that, so people can still look good. I'll take facial, I'll do the package of facial, the cream to wash your face, make a little home kit. And then we could do Zoom, and I'll tell you what to do with your face. And I'll tell, so I just pivot off right away. Like, okay, what I need to do, I need money to run. As a small business in Canada, we had a lot of help that was given, but I'm a small business, but I'm not a big enough small business to have access to a lot of the loans, which is that it was really crazy to see that, you know, people say, oh yeah, you're getting help, you're getting money, and it wasn't like that at all. So I had to go into my pocket and making sure I pivot to change the way I was spending my money and how to make sure that I'm not going into debt during this time. So it was just changing the strategy. Like I couldn't have clients come to me, so then I decided to make the wigs and take it to them.
So Lisa, how did it impact you?
In a similar fashion, because I'm in an industry where you need that interaction, because my business is selling the service of my partners, which are my, you know, talent on the roster. So it kind of shifted in terms of the volume of work coming in. So it hit hard, and I am not a big enough small business to have received a lot of the financial support that was out there for us as Canadian businesses. So it really took a toll on the business and in terms of my pockets, because I had to feed the company myself from the other incomes that I was getting. So that's when, you know, go back to something I think Suzette said before, they don't see that product for $7, there's a whole lot more adding on to it that comes out of your pocket. But we do it for the love of our passion for doing this business. So I had to, again, redirect energies from just having the service of my talent to the expansion into tangible products. So it gave birth to my jewelry line, which is Simply Perfect, and our clothing line as well.
That's amazing.
Yes. So I have, there's a dress line and a swimsuit line, which, you know, I'm a Becker girl who the water was my thing. Like I'm a water baby, you know, jumping in the ocean as much as I could. So I'm starting in the process of finessing our swimsuit line as well as my dress line, which again goes back with a messaging, because it's a hoodie dress that I wanted to sort of have that message of belonging, because the hoodie with people that look like us is often seen as something that is a weapon, or that we are evil, and you know, it demonizes us. If we put a hoodie on, we're up to no good. I wanted to take the hoodie into the boardrooms and take it into, you know, the sophisticated parties as well as the parties down the street, that it's not the clothing that we wear that determines our character. So that time period of that shutdown gave me the space and time to develop these 4 product lines within the company that would help me get through the periods where service I couldn't provide to the people, but I could provide you something tangible that would help me with revenue streams.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Michelle, how were you impacted by COVID, and how did you get around it?
I guess similarly to these ladies, again, I think I said this before, but like necessity is the mother of invention, and it was an opportunity to sort of reinvent the way I did things, who I saw as clients. So for me, COVID has been, I've been able to grow through COVID, because now I could offer my workshops with everybody becoming familiar with virtual learning and different platforms, like becoming more user-friendly. I've been able to offer my workshop anywhere to anyone. So grew my clientele that way. Also, I learned that for some of these workshops, based because of the content, they work better in a sort of hybrid system where I in places where I allow 10 to 20 in-person events, I could do that, and at the same time kind of cast it out by Zoom or some other platform to people elsewhere. So in high schools where I did my workshop, where there are upwards of 120 staff, I was able to do that and learn learned the whole process of how to reach bigger groups with bigger geographic location.
So she grew.
I changed. Yeah, like maybe grow is not the right word, but I certainly changed for the better, because now I think even as we are allowed to be more in a space, and as you know, COVID goes away, I think I'll still sort of opt for the hybrid version for the delivery, in particular of my anti-racism workshop, because of how uncomfortable that topic is. And when you're doing it in a room with 120 people, you don't have the same sort of reach. While if they were broken up in groups all across a wider space, there becomes more comfort for people to really sort of explore the topic and get the sort of change and results that I hope for.
Again, you ladies are just awe-inspiring. I mean,
We've
you have
been
each.
seeing.
Sorry?
We've been seeing.
Pure Vincy. Pure Vincy.
Pure Vincy.
You have to put a handle on the Vincy. Pure
Yes.
Vincy.
Yes.
But you have these amazing stories where you have each been able to use COVID as a stepping stone to re-engineer your situations and your solutions, or even find new solutions to the problems. So you've enjoyed life. I like to say there are these new eras. There's before COVID, which naturally would be up to 2019. And there's the COVID era, which is now. How do you see life changing post-COVID? Michelle, you've already said that for one thing, you could see you continuing with your hybrid offerings. But Solita, Suzette, how do you see business changing post-COVID? Or will it change post-COVID?
Yeah, I don't know. It will change for some things, but for me, because I've already, before COVID, I downsized my salon. I had like the salon spa with staff and everything, and rentals, and just I had to do a reset of the business of where I wanted to go with it and how lucrative it was going to be in the future, having that same business model. So I made a choice to not resign my lease, and I downsized to a suite format. And so I do one-on-one. So I find with the one-on-one client per se, I started that before COVID, and now that COVID happened and you can only do one client at a time because of the social distancing and cleaning up and after. So I had that service in total COVID happened. So now with my client, they're so used to this special treatment now. So I think I'll continue doing that with even if COVID is gone, I'm still going to continue booking my clients by appointment only. So when you come to see me, it's just the two of us. You know, you have your glass of wine, a tea, or you know, we talk. And, you get.
So you have that intimate option to.
Yes.
Wonderful.
So I think that's
wonderful.
something I will continue to do after COVID is well gone. And the online service for wigs, products, and all that, I will do that also.
Okay, Solita.
For me, I think it sort of forced me into the expansion earlier than I thought. So it has helped me to grow the brand, being within the pandemic. And now the reach, because my whole goal with the agency was to reach back to the Caribbean and especially back to St. Vincent. And I started, my first reach was back to Jamaica, only because the model found me, and I wanted when I come home to be, so solid and firm in what my agency was doing here in North America. That is going to now go faster than it would have gone before, because I saw the value in the Zoom calls and the training. I can do that online, and the talent got the same sort of content that they would have got if they were here. I mean, there's nothing like the in-person, but it kind of fast forward me into now reaching back to the Caribbean and expanding into the other markets of the industry. So in that sense, I think it's just it pushed me faster to where I was going eventually, but now COVID is just waking up a little bit earlier those projects.
So in all of this, we still have some positives coming out of this dreadful situation.
Yes.
Michelle, you spoke earlier about your work in racism. You have a Black Lives Matter program, and you also have Fabric of Our DNA. How do those programs work, and do you find there's a need for them more now than before?
Well, Fabric of Our DNA is Solita's. I'd like to take, I'd love to take the credit for that. I think it's a fantastic venture, but the anti-racism work that I do, it's really about helping white individuals to confront racism within themselves so that they don't hinder BIPOC students from reaching their full potential academically. That's like the whole goal of that program. So I go into schools, and now it's great because I can do it virtually and anywhere in Canada. Hopefully I'll get into the US and the Caribbean as well. But so I just go in, and I always start the program with a lot of one-on-one with the teachers to understand the culture of their particular learning institution. So what's going on there? What are your experience with racism? Like who normally takes care of it? What does representation look like? And then I take this program, the meat of it, and I build it specifically for that institution. So I do that each and every time. I feel for me, impact is more important than intent, always. And so if I'm going to deliver something that looks like what they need, then I have a better chance of having the sort of impact that's needed, and the right sort of change comes out of it. So yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I get to lend myself to, that I'm most proud of, because I get to see results and fairly quickly. And I feel like this sort of work impacts community where it matters most with our young people, so that change happens quickly and it's long lasting.
I find this interesting because as time goes on, we hear more and more denial of the existence of racism, but you have recognized a need, a dire need for education on racism and some solutions to that problem. So why is it that some people are seeing that racism is alive and well and tangible, and others are denying its existence?
I just had a meeting with one of the local colleges here. They had an incident of racism happen with their Afrocentric program, one of their Afrocentric programs. And that was kind of like one of the questions they're dealing with, or one of the issues they're dealing with. And I think they're like, one of the main reasons for that is Black people are in a state where they're constantly preserving their right to be in a particular space. So in a school, Black educators or support workers are not often saying when they deal with racism, because they don't want to be that person who calls it out all the time. And same as students, they will tell another Black student, but they won't report it to a teacher. So one of the reasons why the white community is still in denial about Black individuals that are dealing with racism on a daily basis is because we don't call it out all the time, because it takes a lot of energy, and we also risk our position in those spaces. In fact, I was in one workshop I delivered before I moved here, and there was a teacher who, I think if we were alone, he would have hit me. He went really red, and he's like, it's so ridiculous, these examples you're giving, they're so far-fetched. And I thought, wow, what privilege to not even recognize that me telling my experience could be the actual truth. So it's definitely one of the things I deal with the most, and what makes the delivery of this program difficult. But it's definitely something that I'm learning how to deal with, how to find the right words, and the right examples to get the message across.
And what are some of these instances, without meaning to dig scabs off wounds, but what are some of these instances of racism that go unreported, underreported, or even unnoticed?
I guess some of the ones that I find most damaging are the ones that, like, one issue is that labeling racism correctly is been a bit of a nightmare. You have things where one child is recognizing something that's racially different on another child getting labeled as racism when it's just observation. And then you get where one kid is saying the N-word to another kid repeatedly and nobody's stepping in because it's seen as just joking around and it's not getting labeled as racism. So labeling these incidents is the first sort of issue that I come across all the time. So in my workshop, I build these scenarios out and I let the teachers decide, like, you know, is this an act of racism? And how do you, because if you don't even know if it's racism or not, chances that you're dealing with it correctly is slim to none, right? But in terms of examples, like representation is one big one. One that I use is the kid who is really into science. He's a BIPOC student and he's looking through all of the high school there were virtual tours, and not once does he see himself in any of the fields that he wants to go in. Like, there are a lot of Black students highlighted in the sports program. I mean, it's the regular thing you hear all the time, but it's happening now. And just before delivering that, I looked through the sort of online tours and it was still true. And this is 2021. So for me, that's systemic racism at play and lack of representation. So.
And what do you think of the argument, any of you ladies, what do you think of the argument that it is only racism if you have the power or the authority to influence or to have your thoughts played out? So for example, you may consider me racist simply because I say I don't like Black people, but unless I have the power to discriminate against Black people, they're saying that you can't be racist if you cannot discriminate, if you don't have the power or the authority to discriminate against me, whether by refusing me a job or by firing me or something of that sort. What are your opinions on that?
Well, I think there's no gray area. You're a racist or you're not a racist. It's just that you cannot sugarcoat saying that, well, because I don't like Black people, then I'm not a racist. Well, I'm a Black person. I don't get along with a lot of Black people because of personality differences, because of values, because of character. You see what I mean? So to say that it's gonna affect that person anyway, because one person that spewed any kind of negativity about another race, you're going to infect other people along the way, because people listen and they learn behavior, especially if that person have kids or cousins or younger version around that can swallow all these things in, and they hear this stuff, they go to school and they start repeating these things. So it doesn't mean that you don't have the power at work or an influence in that business world, but you do have it at home and around your community. So it's always going to go spreading, because people, when you say negative things, it really travels more than positive things, you know.
So at the end of the day, there's really no way to absorb yourself.
No.
So what do you think about it?
Yeah.
I think for me, the power aspect of it is necessary for there to be impact in terms of being labeled as racist or not. Within our own group, we do have things that we don't like about certain people, but as a collective, as a community, can we hinder your growth and your access to equity as another group would? So I think when it comes to racism, and a lot of people are mixing up being prejudiced or, you know, not liking somebody because of what, or not getting along because of personality differences, to that racist, label. Because then if you can't change the way that I am going to excel, then I think that has more to do with prejudice and discrimination or disliking me. But as a group, can you hinder my group from moving forward as a collective? Which is what we see within the Black community. There's some that have, you know, excelled and gone on despite the challenges that are faced. However, as a whole group, we're lacking behind with the equity, with where we stand with equity. And that's why you mentioned the Black Lives Matter, which would lead us back to the Atlantic Scholarship, was necessary for us to create that particular scholarship because of the disparity in how many students were getting help. Whereas if we offered 10 scholarships, we can't just offer 10 scholarships on a basis where white, Black, brown, and they can all come in and get it. When the Black community is so far behind the line, we have to create something to fill that gap so they can all get up here to this pile to access the opportunities. So until that is shifted, I think power does have a lot to do with racism. And we just have to know, true educators help teach people the difference so that when you're labeling things, you don't label somebody wrongly. And I think that's what's causing a lot of tension between the groups right now. And within our own groups, like, you know, they call me racist for saying something to somebody else. I don't have the power to change your entire community. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
And Michelle?
Yeah, and my head is going in 100 ways, like, because this is a thing that drives me right now, is to help and in particular teachers and students to come to that sort of like clarity around that. For one, I believe that the issue lies in racist ideas and racist policies, and when we deal with that, it's a little bit easier to handle than when you start labeling individuals around that. I think also some people can act in racist way this minute and not in another minute. So are they racist now and not later? Those sort of things I think need to be clarified before we can like truly get the white community to start to deal with racism within themselves, because there's just way too much gray area. And one of the big hurdles is this idea that if I think racist thoughts or act out in racist way, then I'm automatically an awful human being. Another big reason why white individuals don't start looking at themselves and the ideas and policies that drive them, because they're afraid of that sort of idea. Oh my God, I did that, I'm an awful human being. There's no hope for me. So I always start my workshops that way. I always say, and I get a lot of mouth opening, if I was to separate myself from every white person in my life that has acted in a racist way towards me, I would have no white people in my life. And I'm married to a white man. Was married. Sorry, it's on you. So, and it's that idea is that racism shows up in individual acts, and it shows up in the ideas that drives us and governs our lives. And so if we start tackling those things instead of dealing with individual people, we have a better chance to make real change.
Thank you. Sulita, tell me about the fabric of our DNA.
Yeah, so that one, the fabric was sort of the first show that we did through 𝑐𝘰𝑚 production, and it really is the foundation of 𝑐𝘰𝑚 production, because that's where we started building from my coaching to my agency. And it is a fashion show that is designed to give the platform to young designers who often don't have the resources financially to put on their own fashion shows to show off their product lines. So like the makeup brands, and so it's more than just the clothing, but anything within the fashion realm. And through that show, it was designed also to facilitate supporting community, so giving back to nonprofit organizations. And we've chosen scholarships as the space in which we wanted to occupy, and use the show to support. So it gives designers from within Halifax right now in Nova Scotia that platform to show off their work. They put diversity on the runway on full display in true celebration of what diversity is. And my hope is to reach within the Caribbean. And before COVID, I was speaking to a designer back in St. Vincent that I wanted to do one of the next shows with bringing my Vincy people to the platform as well, because I wanted to expand it and show the market here what is available there, and vice versa. Maybe I can go home and do something like that as well and widen each of their market base. So that's really the gist of the fabric of our DNA, that it can stretch geography and your background. And within the fashion industry, it's not just clothing, but it spans the whole gamut of the fashion realm. So that there's a space in 2022 for us to put that brand on the runway.
For sure. Yes, let's do it.
Excellent. So,
Yeah.
well, with all of that having been said, Suzette, what are your thoughts now on the makeup line?
It's staying.
All right. Ladies, you're not going to believe it, but our time has actually run out. I mean,
wow.
you girls are so interesting. You have so many dimensions to you that I don't know that we had enough time to actually explore you all properly, but this little chat that you've had with me has just been so inspiring, and I want to thank each of you for being here. Before we go, there are two questions that I want to ask each of you. First one first. Let's start from you, Suzette, and come down. Suzette, Solita, Michelle. You're involved in so many different things, or you've divided your business into so many different streams. What would you say you are most proud of as an entrepreneur?
My cosmetic line. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Solita?
I think my coaching, because it comes from my soul. Like I truly believe that it is me, just seeing the shift and the change in the individuals who come through my coaching classes. It gives them something more than just the ability to walk on a runway or take a beautiful picture, but it embeds within them that confidence that they belong, and they start recognizing their self-worth.
And Michelle?
Yeah, I'm super proud of her, and I'm like super proud to be Vincy right now.
I'm super proud of all of you ladies. I'm
Me too. Wow. I guess for me, the thing I'm most proud of is when I hit a win with helping an educator to recognize the value, the power of their role in young lives, and that they are not just helping young children to form a foundation for learning, but foundation for life, for the way they move through life, for the way they interact with others. Yeah, so every time I see a teacher that kind of gets it, for me, that's like, yeah, I can finish empty on that one.
Oh, wonderful.
That's my sister.
Last question.
And now Suzette starts asking,
and we have another sister now.
Yes.
Yay.
I don't have any sisters. I always wanted sisters. Now I have two.
And now look at this. Look at this.
Yes,
You do now.
This is another sisterhood right here.
yes.
So this way we're going to start from Michelle and work from Michelle to Solita to you, Suzette. Michelle, one thing that you consider pure Vincy.
Two plum.
Beckway plums or the yellow plums?
Pardon me?
Beckway plums or the yellow plums?
Well, yeah, I guess it's Beckwith plums. Like sorry, Beckwith plums. I heard
right.
it's getting in St. Vincent now too.
What?
The plums. I hear Vincey's are.
Yeah, we have a tree. I have a tree in my backyard.
You see? So you can't just call it Beckwith plums anymore.
No, but you have to give Jack his jacket and Jim his boots and Beckwith her plums.
You're right. You're right. Yeah.
I know she don't know those Becca people gonna be listening to this and thinking, what she talking about giving away the Becca plum?
You can't give it away. You cannot give it away.
She won't be able to step in Beckwith.
Yeah.
So, Lita, what do you consider to be pure Vincy?
Oh, I love food and so a few things. Mango. I love my mango. And breadfruit and saltfish. Like I just my mouth goes for breadfruit and saltfish. The food, the smell, the flavor of St. Vincent. Yeah. That's my.
I want a do-over now.
For me, it's chichi cake. I love chichi
Vermont
cake.
girl, did you ever go down to 𝑏uckaman to get chichi?
Yeah. But I think when I went back as an adult, that's when I went to Beckwith. I never went before. So all this stuff about Vincy is when I'm going on my own. I never, because I was sheltered.
Right.
I didn't go anywhere. So I went back. So I'm experiencing St. Vincent as much as I can now and I love every part of it. Every part of it. And pilau.
Oh boy.
You're not a true Vincy unless you like pilau.
Oh, it was too much to choose. I love breadfruit, but yeah, Suzette, we have so much in common, huh?
Yeah, but collectively we have all the good stuff. You have the plum, you have the breadfruit.
Yeah, there you go.
You know, the chichi and the pilau. Like there you go, right?
Yes.
I'm hungry.
No,
That's what I need when I come home, because that was one of the memories from going to St. Vincent too. Was the chichi cakes? That was like
I love I need some. My mouth's watering.
Yes.
Now that we've founded this sisterhood, let us listen to this little bit of, I guess, verification and justification here, some validation. Suzette, do you see yourself going across the stage in Victoria Park here?
Oh yes.
Oh, I can't wait to
You think it's 2022 or 2023? When Carnival's coming back?
Yeah.
Let us keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to see you in a band, Michelle?
If it's 2022, I'll be there.
Yes. Yes,
Are we going to? Are you all going to bring Michelle into a band? Michelle looks very conservative.
They're my new sisters. They're my sisters, so they're all coming. They're all coming.
Carnival here to Halifax too. I want them experience Carnival here in Halifax.
Yes, we'll connect, and I'll come down and visit. I'll come and visit. Promise.
Yes.
Promise. You can find me at www.𝑐𝑰𝑛-𝑠𝑦𝑛.com or Instagram 𝑐𝑰𝑛 or syn.syn.sue.salon@gmail.com.
Thanks. So, Ethan, how do we reach you?
Our website is www.𝘰𝑠_productions.com. IG is 𝘰𝑙𝑢𝑒_productions, and our Facebook is 𝘰𝑙𝑢𝑒 Productions Management. And info@𝘰𝑙𝑢𝑒 will get you to us. And I hope that, some of the Vincentian models who are looking to reach into the bigger market start checking out the platform, because there's a space here for you.
Michelle?
Okay, so you can reach me online at learningforyoungminds.com, and that's with a 4. So learningforyoungminds.com, and my Instagram is Moshella M. Short, and on Facebook as author Moshella Short. Yes.
Ladies, this has been amazing. Folks, this has been Pure Vincy, and on the program this evening we've had Suzette Hayward of Sinsu, we've had Solita Short of Productions Management Incorporated, and she's also a co-founder of the Atlantic Scholarship Organization. And the Atlantic Scholarship Foundation was co-founded by her sister Michelle Shark, and Michelle is also the founder of Learning for Young Minds. We have been talking about their work as entrepreneurs and as community activists, as people involved in building their community, not just in their adopted homelands, but also in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Ladies, it has been an inspiration. Thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to us getting together again, whether in Pure Vincy or some other space. Thank you so much. Stay well.
Thank you. I can't go without shouting out my family in Lower Bay, Beckwith, the Wallace, the Short, Inga, Glennie, the Pickney, and them, everybody. We wouldn't be able to come back to Beckwith if we didn't do that, right?
Cheryl and Shanique and Savette, Meredith,
Sean, Lydia.
And thank you, Claire, for having us. This is such an amazing opportunity to be able to reach back home. Like, what you're doing is so amazing, and kudos to you and credit to you to bringing us together and connecting, these minds. Thank you for that, and we hope we can come home and truly give back to the place we love so much.
Yeah, and to Suzette for making this all happen.
Suzette, shout out to Suzette.
Yes, Suzette, for sure.
Yeah,
big shout out to Suzette.
Yes.
Suzette, I don't want you to be an outcast when you get back to St. Vincent. Anybody you want to say hi to?
I'll say hi to, I'll big up all the Vorman posse, to the Isaac and the Slaters. I love you, Peters. I'll be home soon.
Oh, wonderful. Ladies.
All the Lobe, we can't forget the Lobe people. Hello from here.
All right, that was fantastic. And I must say again from Sweet Radio SVG, a special thanks to Suzette Small-Weeks of Brandon by Weeks for bringing this whole thing together, not just through her promotional business as Brandon by Weeks, but also through her position as the president of the SVG Association of Ottawa. She has been doing some amazing work from her organization, and I just want to thank her so much for making all of this possible. There's a program that we do on Sweet Radio SVG called Life No Sugar Added, and we're about to restart our series. And at the end of each of those programs, we say Ubuntu, and it simply means I am because we are. And I truly believe that. Ladies, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
SweetRadioSVG.com